Hey, GM Victor. Hello.
Jim,
GM. Hey, Victor. How are you?
fine, great. How about you guys?
Well, we are great. Doing good. I think we are just waiting for a couple others to also join in. So let's wait for next 2 to 3 minutes and then let's get started. Oh, hey, Victor. Hi.
Hey, how are you
Hey
doing?
there. I'm good. So it's early morning for you.
Roughly, yes. 9,
Yeah.
9 a.m.
I mean, thanks a lot for making your time and waking up and joining this call.
Thanks
Perfect.
for the invite.
Yeah. Hi, Sai work. So I'll just give you a little overview of what we do and what this exact call is. So this is part of Onchain Asia, and Onchain Asia is a community we have been running over Asia. It's an focused community towards AI and cryptocurrencies, blockchain. So most of the participants out here are builders who are exploring AI in itself. So these are the general audience which we have, and I believe like we just announced the meet link every year. So I believe couple more participants will also be joining, but let's not take much of your time too. So we'll get started. This is Town Hall 21. So what we have over here is like we have every week we do town hall calls. So town hall calls is something similar to this where we bring in a person from the industry and uh, we have him share over his insights over the whole industry, how things are running over here, and in general talk about where we are moving towards in AI, cryptocurrencies, stable coins, and everything. And today's topic is stable coins and AI because Victor, you're over here and giving a small introduction about Victor. I've been knowing Victor from the last 6 7 months, probably I know before Argentina we are connected. And Victor is an Brazilian founder building Nora Finance. It's in BRL pegged stable coins. He's deeply embedded in the Latin America, Brazil region, and has been already working in this field from last couple of years. So Victor, I think like please take over the stage, give a small introduction about yourself, and then we can begin officially.
Awesome. Thanks again for the invite. It's a pleasure. I started in crypto 5 years ago, and we at DeFi Summer, and we had the idea to create bankless in Brazil. So we were studying, researching about crypto, DeFi, blockchain in general, and we struggled to find good educational content in our language, which is Portuguese. Then we created Bankless in Brazil. We were part of the Bankless DAO community at the time, and it was the biggest international community outside of Bankless US or in English. We found that in our country, in Brazil, people have a lot of appetite to understand about new things on the financial side of things, new financial systems, new technology involving finance, and ways to get a better service overall. We understood that, and I helped to build some DeFi startups in Brazil as well. One was a Perpstex that was acquired, and another one was NFT marketplace at the time. So we had a lot of like bulls and bears during this time. The market was very interesting and different, to be honest. I think it was more immature at the time. I think today we have more maturity in this space. In a lot of different senses, we understood better business models. We understood better how to run a company, to be honest. I think that a lot of people at the time quite didn't understand how to do things. After this like 3 first years, I joined Solana to build a super team in Brazil. Super team is an initiative to accelerate talent and companies in certain region. So we were responsible of the whole Latin America block, but we had the opportunity to start in Brazil, which is my home country, and I already had a lot of experience in the ecosystem. So we started in Brazil, then went to Mexico, Argentina, the biggest countries in the region. And we understood that different countries, like the innovation is kind of the same, but different countries, they have different needs. So the innovation fits their cultural or their life cycle in a different way, right? So for example, in Mexico, it's more towards remittances because the remittance economy between Mexico and the States is huge. Argentina is more about inflation because their currency is very high inflation. And they want to get away of their currency and access dollars and other assets. In Brazil, it's about taxes, to be honest. So in Brazil, we pay a lot of taxes in different ways and shapes. If you receive money in crypto or receive money abroad, you need to pay a lot of taxes. So when you are doing this only in crypto, only on chain, and not never touching fiat, then or like the traditional system, you don't need to pay certain taxes because there's no regulation for that yet, or the regulation is still allowing you to not pay taxes. So that's another use case, right? So different, the innovation is the same, but different cultures, different places, you have different behaviors because of that. Was like one of the most important things that I learned from this journey.
Pretty interesting, pretty interesting. So also, like, I think most of the audience we have over here is are from Asia. Majority of them from being Indians, and some of them would be out of India. But yeah, mostly it's Asians out here. So I would like because I mean, from your journey, what I know, you have been building in Brazil for Brazil and from Brazil. So like for the listeners who don't know about the market, what makes Brazil such an, let's say like an unique financial battlefield right now? So, I mean, at this point, Brazil has been one of the hot region for even the neobank companies, to, if I say from an Orbitex perspective. So, if you would like to throw some light over there.
So in Brazil, we had a very, I would say, fast change in how we deal with finance. It all comes down to demographics, to be honest. So Brazil is a very young country. My age, which is 24, is actually the most common age in Brazil. So a lot of people are my age, which
Interesting.
means that are some people that are starting to have their economic life like assembled. And we have the power to switch gears, you know. When I was a child, we had to go to physical branches. I did with my parents. We went to, if you want to withdraw some money, you need to stay in line. You talk with your manager, then you get the money. So it's a very slow process, and as some people trusted this process, right? They trusted that the money is in the bank. Uh, I trust my manager to sell to me the best investment opportunities or products, and that's the way I do business. I pay like I when I was a kid. I remember my parents paying for transactions. If I need to do a transaction, I can do it. I need to pay a small fee at the time. It is not a small fee today for me because nowadays I don't pay any fee, but they pay a fee, and you need to wait until the next day to get your money, right? So the system was very slow, and in a matter of 10 years, all changed. So we have some new banks here, some fintechs, I'd say, that changed it all. So to name a few, we have New Bank, for example, that is it's one of the biggest fintechs in the world right now. It's very heavily competing with Revolut, for example, and their biggest market is Brazil. Then there's Nubank, there is Banco Inter, there is PicPay, Mercado Pago, which is from Argentina, but their biggest market in Brazil, and so on. So Mercado Pago is also a e-commerce. They have Mercado Libre, and Mercado Pago is their tool to create for payments for merchants, and now they are a bank essentially. So in Brazil, from 2000, from 10 years, exactly 10 years ago, we had the revolution. And what enabled this revolution was in part our central bank, because we had a central bank that opened a lot what we can do with a payments institution. So a payments institution can act like a bank, can create accounts, can create investment opportunities, can have the access to PIX, which is our payment infrastructure, universal payment infrastructure. I think kind of the same as UPI. It reminds a lot. So when these IPs, these institutions of payment started getting to the market, they started disrupting the traditional banks. The traditional banks even started to create their own IPs. So Bradesco, I remember having the credit card of a Bradesco. Bradesco is one of the 4 biggest banks in Brazil, and it was called Next, and it was horrible, horrible. Very low credit line. I had like $200 as a credit line for me, and very painful app to deal with. You know, very poor UX. Because the big banks, they're not used to fight this. You know, they're they have they have the asset management part, they have the private banking part, they have different enterprises solutions. They are so big. There is like thousand and thousand people working there, that they don't have the ability to be like a startup, right? So New Bank, Banco Inter, C6, they have all this edge of being very fast, digital first, and very focused on acquiring users in my age, which is the biggest population. And they succeed. So they succeed a lot. Brazilian people, they are used to deal with this kind of, like, they're used to have their financial life, their 100% of their financial life in a smartphone. So I think that in part was because of the regulation, because it was a very opening regulation. but also the demographics helped a lot. The culture, because in Brazil we have the culture of testing good new things. We are not so conservative with this like new technologies. Of course, the older people, yes, but since the population is mostly young, we still have the like we were one of the first nations to get delivery food to like in an app. We have our own app for delivering food, which is iFood. So
Okay.
it's even earlier than Uber Eats, for example. So we have adoption. Like Uber was very fast. Even Uber, when it started, it was illegal because it was not allowed for someone to be a taxi or cab driver without license.
Right.
But in a matter of like 1 or 2 years, Uber was everywhere. Everyone was using it, and the government was like I can't stop something like that. You know?
Right.
So adoption of technology in Brazil is very high, and we have this mindset. If I grew a lot in Brazil, the government can't do anything because the government is basically populist in Brazil. They do whatever it brings votes, right? So if I ban Uber, I'll just lose votes. That's the mindset.
Right, right. It's very similar in the political scene. So here in India, it's also very similar. I mean, that's how the country runs anyway. But I think I got a really good idea of like, and I believe even the audience out here would have understood how Brazil has been operating right now and why it's been an hot field for all the DeFi and the new banks running over to Brazil as their the most green field at this point. But then, keeping this aside, would like to have this as a stage where you can tell a little bit more about Nora Finance. Like you have been building, it's like from last couple of months you have been building, and I did read your article about you're not launching just in stablecoin. So pretty more interested about knowing what exactly is Nora Finance, and I believe like the audience over here would also be. So please, Victor.
Awesome. So let me start with what's the difference between for us Brazilians? What's the difference between on-chain new bank or a DeFi new bank and a normal new bank, right? So neobanks like Nubank or eBanco Inter, they disrupted the traditional banks, but still they are a regulated company, so they need to comply with a lot of stuff. You just like they tried to sell crypto, and it took like 4 years for them to get that approval from the central bank to actually sell crypto there. If they try to sell stocks, for example, American stocks, it's a hustle, you know. Then they lose their advantage of they startup advantage, which is testing something, seeing if it sticks, if the audience really likes it or not, and then implementing as a whole. So because they are very heavily regulated, they can't do a lot of stuff. In like in on the other side of this coin, I would say, there is NBS or no bankless here in Brazil, which is a new bank, on-chain new bank. While new bank is struggling with the government to sell stocks, American stocks, the new banks give you cashback in stocks in Brazil. So you can choose having like Nvidia as your cashback on your credit card.
Interesting.
In one way, you can test fast, you can see the appetite of the public for this kind of product, and if it goes well, you can scale, and that's fine. So because it's the tokenized version of the stock, right? So they're very fast. You can implement products. You can it's just technology, right? So you can switch gears. You can bring an API of this protocol, integrate with this, and assemble what you want, and create the service without being attached to any jurisdiction, without being forced to slow down, essentially. That's why new banks in Brazil are very interesting, because you can do whatever you want, and people expect for you to like be their entire financial life. they expect for you to have like a broad offering. Um, so why we are doing what we're doing with Nora Funds? Because we want to open more, even more, the offering of new banks. We understood that new banks in Brazil, these on-chain new banks, like Arbitex, for example,
Yeah.
they are not being treated as their primary account for Brazilians. They are the secondary account. They can compete very well with Wise, for example, with Avenue, for example, which is a app that you can buy American stocks, like in Robinhood for Brazilians. So they compete very well with these players, but they don't compete well with Nubank, with C6 yet. Why? Why they don't compete well with like primary account banks? Because they don't offer the essential thing that Brazilians want and need, which is Brazilian real balances and savings accounts. Because Brazilians, most of Brazilians, they receive money, they earn money in reais, and they spend money in Brazilian reais. If they get subject to US dollar in the meantime, it's a FX risk, right? So last year, dollar depreciated 13% against the real. So if I'm making my money in reais, I'm putting my money in USD and I'm spending in reais as well, I'm just by saving my money in USD, I'm losing 13%. It's
Correct.
not nice. So if we want to fight the fight of the primary account, we need to have a good and reliable stablecoin for me to have my balances in that stablecoin, in that neobank. Two, you need to have a good savings account as well. So in Brazil, we have the highest real yield, which is interest rate, which is 15%. Our inflation is roughly 5%. So you have a 10% spread of real yield. That is it's the central bank is used to have a high yield economy. From the last 20 years, we always had the median interest rates was above 10%, always. So we had some times that dropped it during COVID, for example, but most of the time it was above 10%. So when you have 15% APY in your bank, you are not going to leave this as a primary account to move to the dollar. There's no reason for that.
Correct. Yeah.
So we are designing one, the stablecoin itself, two, the savings account, third, the what we call protective asset layer. So we have BRS now. What you can do with BRS, which is our stablecoin, you can take a loan using BRS as collateral, for example, or you can use USD or other currencies to take BRS as collateral. So you use BRS as a productive asset. This is what DeFi allows us to do, right? So it's bringing DeFi capabilities to BRS, to the stable. So these are three layers of product. One is the stablecoin, second is the savings account, third is the productive asset. You can also LP. So there is a lot of effects between dollar and USD. Between the USD and Brazilian reais. And you can add liquidity to a liquidity pool that pays an APR there. Roughly, the APR of some pools are like 60% APR because there is a lot of volume between this pair. So you can put money there to work for you. So there's different things that you can do with this new asset, right?
Right.
That's the core product layer.
That's pretty interesting. I mean, hopefully, I don't know if everyone understood it, but like it's very interesting of what you have been building, and also for all the audience out here, please feel free to like either unmute yourself. You have anything to ask towards Victor, towards me, you can ask us, or else if you're not comfortable with unmuting and asking, you can use the chat section. The chat section is open for you all to, like, drop in whatever you would like to ask us, and we'll be happy to answer you. So just going forward with that, uh, let's explore a bit more about like neobanks. So neobanks, most of the neobanks out here right now, they start as an, a stable coin card, you can say, where you have an virtual or a physical card. You can go tap and swipe, spend your stable coins. There are different rails which uses, but most of the end users don't either care or know about the rails. So for an end user, it's like I have my stable coin, it's USDC, USDT, and I can spend it. Also, right now, most of the neobanks have been upgrading themselves. They have been going, it started with a card, but right now, even Orbitex, right now, we have moved from card to whole named accounts, banking systems. So basically, anyone out there, like, I can be in India, I can receive payments from an US client using an US bank account created in my Orbitex app. So that's possible right now. The named accounts has been made possible. But what do you think, Victor, about what's the future of neobanks? Like, is it just an hype right now, and hype that's eventually going to end, like what happened with NFTs, what happened with RWS, or did we really find neobanks as one of the real use cases of crypto?
Yeah, I really believe that new banks are not a hype. I think they're underhyped, to be honest, because um, when NFT came around, and I was very deep in NFTs at the time, we had a reason to shill NFTs, right? We had a reason because uh, we made money, right? So it was very speculative from beginning. Neobanks is very different. We are hyping the use case. We are not hyping the token or an NFT or a speculatory investment. I'm not invested. I don't have investments on Orbit for example. I don't hold the token of these new banks, and I shoe a lot of these new banks because I shoot the use case. And what's the use case? It's allowing you to do whatever you want with your money. Borderless, access to different type of products in one app. Don't need to change to do multiple KYCs, download multiple apps to do multiple things on our finance. You can do only one. And also, you can, as I mentioned, it's a very powerful tool because it's the distribution engine for a lot of products. So if I want to go to DeFi, for example, provide liquidity for AMM, this for a normal user, for a normie, it's a very hard thing to do.
Right.
But in a new bank, I can offer this as a vault. I can create an LP vault, single side deposit. There is a APR description there. Oh, this pool in the last 30 days is giving you 20% APR. And you just put your money, just that. You don't need to set a liquidity range. You don't need to, I don't know. So it's very easier to do right now. For example, Aave app, you have a very good experience of savings accounts, for example. They made it very easy. When I started using Aave, like in 2021, it was very hard to understand what was going on there for a newcomer. Nowadays, with savings or with their app, it's seamless. So I see neobanks as this interface of abstraction. There is a whole new system. There is a whole new thing going on in the in the backstage, but it's presented as a very seamless, very familiar way. That's, I think, it's the power of a new bank abstracting DeFi tokenization and so on, and distributing this to a broad audience. I remember when a document of Visa leaked 3 or 4 years ago about how they were thinking about the stablecoin crypto cards. And at the time I was like, oh, how they will make it. Today is very seamless, right? So everyone have a card that they can spend directly from USDC or USDT. They can tap everywhere and pay every merchant there. So I think we have these good steps that are they bring the industry very forward. And new banks, the banks is not a product, right? Is the conception of an app that is abstracted enough to look like a bank, but it's not real a bank. It's run on chain, right? So that's the beauty of this. And just a note, I talked a little bit about the Brazilian real stablecoin,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I think there is a huge opportunity for other emerging countries stablecoins, local stablecoins. For example, India, I feel that it might be a very interesting country because when you have similar conditions, even higher, bigger, better, bigger and best conditions than Brazil because it's a bigger population, younger population than Brazil. Um, and you also have payment system that is look like the one that we have in Brazil. You also have digital economy, very active digital economy. And you have a local economy, very strong local local economy as well. I doubt that you have more. Most Indians have more USD, for example, or than their local currency. So I feel that there is a lot of opportunity to create the same thing that we're creating at Nora, but in other countries. I don't feel comfortable of creating something in India because I never lived there. I don't know the insides of the market. I know about Brazil. Maybe if we are in expansion, we go for like Argentina or nearby country like Chile or something. But there is a big opportunity for India, for um, Southeast Asia as well.
Right. So, what's the scenario over India is the Indian politics. So, one thing over here is like mostly we don't have a very clear statement about how India considers cryptocurrency in total to be. So, at times, cryptocurrencies has been called a scam, but at the same time, we have a very huge tax and tax up to like which goes to like 30% of your whatever profit you make. So that brings in a lot of fear, and apart from fear, it brings in a lot of like questions which comes up when you say that I'm building in cryptocurrencies and making a local regional cryptocurrency and cryptocurrency for INR Indian rupees. It's possible. I think at this point even Polygon partnered with ARC to build an Indian cryptocurrency. So that's under the process, but it's just that till the government like at least comes up very clear with a very clear thing of like yeah, you pay taxes but it's legal, or like let's regulate it. But unless and until no regulations, that's like it's basically at this point a very big question mark, a very fogged up scenario in India where people are building, lots and lots of people are into crypto. There are like there are a lot of traders from India, there are a lot of builders from India. One of the highest number of developers in cryptocurrency, the blockchain, it's from India. But it's about most of them who make money in India, they move out of India. That's what happens as the end goal here. So I think probably like we are slowly moving towards that point where cryptocurrencies has become a little bit more frequent among our government and the whole political scenario over here. Maybe in the upcoming days we have a really good update, but yeah, as of now it's all unclear. So yes, Victor, I think we had a pretty good idea about what you have been building and your whole narrative about neobanks. I could also add few of them, but I think like we are already running a little out of time. So let me go to the next question. And uh, probably this will be a bit more generic question because Onchain Asia is more of a focus towards AI, and at this point, it's a generation of artificial intelligence. And every other day, there's like layoffs. Today, I think one of the biggest layoff happened, and a lot of questions about like is AI taking up our jobs is coming up. So, what's your take over? Like where are we heading towards in space of like cryptocurrency and AI in general?
Yeah, I heard about the Jack Dorsey. Yeah, I woke up and saw the
Yeah.
the tweets, and I believe that we use a lot of cloud code here, Outpost, even ChatGPT we use a lot. Um, and it is very, yes, we can do more with less. That's the
Mm.
summary, right?
Right. Yeah.
I think that yes, we can do more with less. I don't see Nora having more than, we have 5 people right now in the team. I don't see Nora having like thousands of people, or I don't know, even hundreds of people. I don't see that happening. Um, I think that some very smart people overhired without understanding that this could be a burden. I think Jack was one of them. I think Block as a company don't need to have like 10K people.
Yeah.
It's a startup, right? So
Mhm.
it's a company that's built in the digital world. You don't need to have a lot of the physical things that you used to have when you were a bank. You literally have people, like you have a security guard that will be guarding the agency, the physical branch of the bank. You need to have like the cashier that is um, making the payments. You need to have physical staff. Nowadays, when you have digital world, a lot of these things you don't need anymore. When you have AI, then a lot of the digital roles as well, orchestration, even like like a product person to orchestrate that, maybe you don't need anymore because you don't have as many devs that you used to have. So you can now do a lot of work with less people. Um, I don't see I see that this will, every cycle of technology, what you have is that you have less people working as operators and you have more people working as entrepreneurs. And I think this will open more opportunity for people to create small businesses, to create their own business, rely less in to have if you, in the past, if you had to had like a 10 people team to start a business, now you need to have 2 or 3, right? So it's very easier to create your own company, which I think is empowering, right? Building equity for yourself is the ultimate goal, I'd say, if you're in technology.
Right, that's true. So I think we can sum it up saying like, so yes, we are in the generation of AI, and it's the AI which either makes you super employable, for the people who are looking for employment out there. So it's either going to make you super employable, or it's you're going to end up being unemployable. So it's either like you take an advantage of the AI tools, make sure that you are already in a good to go state where you are able to you mastered up the tools, and you can take care of like 10 people of work as a single person, or you end up like being a person who gets replaced easily by any of random AI tools that's being built. I mean, at this point, there are like companies every single day. Claude ships an update, and because of that update, thousands of companies are dying. So that's also happening at this time. So yes, like apart from what's happening with AI, I think like let's get back to you, Victor. On I don't have much of questions. Wait, before I go there, I think Pavan has asked a question like, Victor, can you share what was your entry point into crypto, and where do you think is the best place to start? So I believe Pavan is a beginner and wants your insight how to get started in crypto.
Awesome. I started in crypto in marketing because I already had a marketing background. Um, and I found I had a very different background, to be honest. So it was like video production and marketing and art direction. It was very different from what I ended up doing. Um, but I started from the place that I was more comfortable of starting, I would say. So there is, if you are a dev, you can start by searching, researching about how to create smart contracts or how to create your best interface to interact with smart contracts. There is a lot of need, I would say, to create very comprehensive things in crypto. So, for example, something that really interconnects code with good UX with good communication with good branding, and good branding with good code and the good products as a whole. So I think this ability of seeing 360 of a product of something, of a life cycle of something that is designed on chain, I think is very important. Um, I started more in the educational part, so I think that education is very important. So you being part of a town hall of one of those town halls, or reading an article as a habit to understand what's going on in the industry, what's the latest thing that's happening, and even the thesis behind something. So, and understand the history of like how Tether was created, who is the founder, how they did it, what circle, for example, what's the relationship between Circle and Coinbase, for example. Understanding the industry itself, understanding what Aave does, what what's the difference, how Aave won more market share than Compound, for example. Understanding these things is, I think, is very valuable, because you understand why the industry is how it is, right? And you have either lived and understood this by experience, or you studied in retrospective, right? So I think this is very interesting. I was I was in an event here in Brazil. It was a centralized exchange event, and the host knew a lot, but you see that he wasn't deep enough in crypto, because a lot of things that he said, it was kind of off. And I think that crypto is still, like, builders in crypto, they look like code sometimes, because if we see that someone is not from crypto, or is not like full on board, sometimes you have a little bit of prejudice, right? um, and I think that it comes down to two things. One is being humble to learn a lot, and to admit that you don't know anything, and to study. And second is to really go for the details and the history of things, I'd say. So really understanding, not being like, there's two outcomes of someone that is joining the market. There is one outcome that is almost this Dunning-Kruger effect of someone that learned a lot of things fast, and now I know everything, I don't need to learn anything more. I think some people are that way. I think the host of this event, it was kind of this way. No, I already get it. I already get it. What is DeFi? Um, and the other route is you always being humble to learn, to understand, and also curious to really understand what's happening, what happened, and what will happen in the future. It's very dynamic. I know it's a very dynamic place, so it's very easy to get overwhelmed. But at the same time, come on, there's a few people that know what we know. There's a few people in the world that really understand and really are building these kind of things. And then this is the most interesting stuff, right? Because if there's a few people that really can do what we can do, then, as Brasho mentioned, you become super employable, because you can manage a lot of knowledge, and you can have context of something that will be the future, for sure. Is the future right now.
That's right. That's exactly what I have been also sharing with the audience in most of the town halls. But anyway, Victor, out here, like, I think one more question which I had for you is like, being a builder, being a founder in crypto space, and that too with AI coming, it's not as easy, I would say, or it's not as similar to being building in a very traditional job, right? So, as a founder, what are your major setbacks or major difficulties you face while building a crypto product? You can share your
Um,
experience, any experience which you have, which is good, which is bad. You can share about like things which have even been good in this space. Please take this platform as you know like a very comfortable place to share.
Awesome. So I would say two things. One is good and one is bad, I'd say. One is the one that is bad is that it's the space is very dynamic. Things move very fast. However, sometimes your business, your product, or your what you're building, it's not that fast
Mm.
compared to the market because a lot of things are happening in the market. Things are starting, being created, dying, changing,
Then,
being renamed. Um, so you feel sometimes that your pace is not the same as the market. Um, so that's kind of a bad thing that you need to deal with because it's sometimes it's frustrating, right? To understand that okay, I need to wait. For example, we in our case, Nora, we have a very good bank that we wanted to for them to be our custody and treasury manager, and they offer really good products. We could monetize our treasury through them. It takes 3 months to get an account there. We are very close to one of the partners, and still it takes 3 months to get a bank account there. It's a very slow process. Um, so we will end up building our product and monetizing and having our treasury management later on because we don't want to wait, right? One thing to have the other. However, I was talking with the more traditional fund in Brazil here and like TradFi one. And when I said to them that we had a lot of progress in this and that, and they said, and you guys started in October? And I said, yeah, the ideation started in October, but the company we started last month. And he said, and you had that much progress in like 2 months? And I said, yes. And for the traditional world, we're always faster. That's the good thing, I would say. Of out of this bad thing, there's this good thing that sometimes it's not that you are slow, it's that your vision compared to the crypto market is that you're slow.
correct.
Um, the second thing which I would say that is a good thing, and I think is the should be your focus, to be honest. Crypto is very small in the sense that if you go to a Dev Connect, for example, which is which is the biggest event for builders of the year, it is a big event. It's like a 15K people. Most of the builders of the space will be there. Do you realize that 15K people is not a lot of people? So there's not a lot of people in crypto. I would say building, right? Actively building stuff. And the relationships that you make, it's very important because you can access everywhere. You can go, even me in Brazil, I go a lot abroad, but I never built a business that is very integrated with other parts. Even when I was working at Solana, I was doing in Brazil and Latin America. So I had some conversations with other leads in other countries, but I was focused in working here. So even me, I have a good network abroad, and I know a lot of people from around the world because it's not a very big place, to be honest. And the relationships are very important because you can access talented people when you want to hire someone. You can access good advisors as well. You can access investors easily, more easy in crypto than other markets. And it is a type of market that if you create a good reputation as well, you don't need to be so loud to create a good reputation, because if you have like a few good relationships that speaks for you, then you have a good reputation already. That's one thing that I don't see a lot of people talking about, because it's about culture, it's not about technology itself. It's about how crypto evolved as a movement. It evolved from cyberpunk movement, from like now it's kind of mainstream. So during this path, we had a lot of history, and like bull and bear markets, and the people that created bonds during this path, they have a good relationship, a very deep relationship between themselves, and that's good. That's can as I really like Naval Ravikant, and he mentions that you need to build leverage during your life, right? So I think these kind of relationships that you endure a lot alongside other peers, it's a leverage. It's a leverage that you can build, and then you can take good advantage later on.
That's very true. I mean, I think you just summed up everything which I ever would have wanted to say. And I can say this whole crypto market to be a concrete jungle out there, just like any other jungle where to survive you need to be adaptable. Things changes here. Things changes very quick here, and because things changes very quick, it becomes survival of the fittest, you can say. So unless and until you yourself are trying to keep the pace with all the changes, it need not be very necessary that like you have to implement all the changes, but keep your pace towards it. You know what's happening, and you acknowledge that things are changing, and probably this is where I'm missing out. That helps you survive in this industry. And apart from that, as you mentioned, like your network is very important. Your network helps you takes you places where you could have never went by just hard working. You could be a very hardworking person, very talented person, but people won't recognize if it's not visible out to someone else. So that's how in general this whole crypto market has been running. But yes, I think it was a really good time with you, Victor. We spent last 1 hour together, had a really good insight. Although this meeting is being recorded and some of the participants would have not been able to join, this meeting will be shared to them. And also, I think Vamsi or Karthikeyan, can you please just share the WhatsApp group too? So if anyone is attending this call for very first time, please join the WhatsApp group, and will be we do this town hall calls every week. So this week we have Victor, next week we'll be bringing another amazing speaker out there. So that's how it is. Stay tuned to all our town hall calls, and again, for one more time, Victor, it's really my pleasure to host you over here, and thank you a lot that you took your time, spent your 1 hour with us, and it was really really insightful for us. So thank you, Victor.
Thanks for the invitation, and have a good one, guys. Good weekend, and speak soon.
See you, Victor. I think let's drop off from the call and very soon connect in our next, whatever we do. So thank you, Victor, again. Bye.
Thanks, guys. Bye bye.